Tonight, brand new revelations about Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas hitting amid his ongoing ethics scandal. New York Times investigating his longstanding membership in an exclusive club called the Horatio Alger Association, a group comprised of a, quote, cluster of extraordinarily wealthy, largely conservative members. It's like the Stonecutters from The Simpsons, who invited Thomas to lavish vacation retreats, parties, and sporting events, much of it undisclosed by Thomas. This cohort of rich and well-connected friends, including, quote, major donors to conservative causes with a, quote, stake in Supreme Court decisions, quote, even if they were not directly involved in the cases. In return, Justice Thomas gave them, quote, unusual access to the Supreme Court, including hosting the group's annual induction ceremony in, I am not making this up, a courtroom. Here you see a blurry photo from one of those ceremonies taken by a member. Define court rules against photography. Justice Thomas reportedly declining to respond to the Times questions, all of this undercutting the public image he has tried to create.
We can lead by example to live a life of morals and manners. People of character can help to inculcate virtue by exhibiting moral strength to do what is right despite frustration, despite temptation.
Frustration, temptation, he gives in to them all. I should note, the new reporting does not suggest Thomas's connection to the association is illegal. And another justice, Thurgood Marshall, was also a member, but it does shed light on his apparent longing for proximity to wealth, power, and perhaps whiteness. There's a mountain of pressure on Chief Justice Roberts to fix this ethics mess, but so far he has done nothing. Joining me now is Elie Mystal, justice correspondent for The Nation, the Lewis Black of politics, one of my favorite people, and author of Allow Me to Retort, a Black Guy's Guide to the Constitution. Elie Mystal, as my anger translator, I need you to put this in context for me legally. At this point, if you told me that Clarence Thomas was like a member of Cobra and Hydra and a Skrull and 20 different, he seems to be associated with all sorts of really problematic organizations. Now, as a judge, you are still a citizen. You have a right to associate with who you want. But what does it mean that he's a link to all of these organizations that also lavish him with gifts? Why is that, from a legal standpoint, problematic other than just the optics?
Because they want to lobby him on the votes for their cases, right? Their name doesn't have to be on the docket for the people in this association and the other people that Clarence Thomas associates himself with, for them to have a stake in the case. One great example is the upcoming Supreme Court case that kind of takes a dead shot at the 16th Amendment, which, by the way, is the income tax amendment. Do you think the people in the Horatio Alger Society have an opinion on what Thomas should be voting on the federal income tax case? I think they do. And see, people need to understand, what is Thomas doing right now? He is hanging out with these people either on their yacht or at their club or at their wherever they hang out, and they are lobbying him about this very case, most likely, and his upcoming votes on it. You know who Thomas is not talking to? Not talking to me. Not talking to Bernie Sanders about the upcoming wealth tax, not talking to the other people with the other point of view, and that is where the corruption lies. One set of people, rich, predominantly white Republican donor people, get unlimited access and unlimited opportunity to lobby the Supreme Court justice for their cases. Everybody else, we got to file a case, file an appeal, wait for the Supreme Court to hear it, and then if you're lucky, Neil Katyal will take half an hour to make your case in front of Clarence Thomas, right? Like that's the difference, and that's the corruption.
I figure between the two of our pockets, Elie, we might be able to buy lunch for Clarence Thomas and have an opportunity for you to chat with him. I want to play you this sound from Joe Biden, President Biden, talking about the idea of expanding the court, something you've been very passionate about as an opportunity for reform, and get your thoughts on the other side.
If we start the process of trying to expand the court, we're going to politicize it maybe forever in a way that is not healthy.
That you can't get back.
That you can't get back.
It was a fantastic interview by Nicole Wallace. Elie, what are your thoughts about President Biden's continued resistance to expanding the court, even in the face of new revelations about court corruption?
the politicization of the court happened so long ago that Joe Biden probably doesn't even remember it. All right, because that horse left the barn in 2000 in Bush v. Gore. That was the fulcrum point for the politicization of the court. So I don't know what President Biden is talking about if he's worried about never getting something back. No, you're never getting it back. The toothpaste is out of the tube. The question is, are you going to clean it up? Are you going to do something about the toothpaste out of the tube, or are you just going to leave it there and like that's part of the art in your bathroom now? Like that is the situation that we're in. You know, and even if you are legitimately worried about the politicization of the court, can't you do something about the corruption of the court? Can't you care about that? Can't you do something to stop the ethics violations that are happening apparently daily coming out of this alleged highest court in the land? Clarence Thomas is out here like, do you remember the old Eddie Murphy skit in SNL where he dresses up as a white person and he gets on the bus and the black people leave and all the white people just start partying and he's like, white people just give things to each other. That's Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas got on the bus full of white people like, oh my God, this is awesome. Give me some more of that graft. Can somebody stop him, please?
The idea that we might actually get some reform is out there because of Dick Durbin, but it's probably dead on arrival in the Senate. Elie Mystal, thanks so much for joining us tonight on The Beat.